Hey guys, welcome back to the Jason and Jabari podcast.
Today's topic is the Homo Sapien emotional state. Do we have good or bad emotions? Why?
So, just like in our last video, good old rock, paper, scissors.
I'm gonna win. Watch this.
Oh, I'm in his head. And it's only, the third episode?
You know what? No, whatever. Just go. Just go.
All right, so the Homo sapien emotional state, do we have good and bad emotions? I would say yes.
Okay. You would say yes.
I would say yes, we do have good and bad emotions.
Okay.
Humans are emotional creatures. Well, I'm assuming
I agree.
every creature is emotional in some type of form or way, but we're
Maybe.
talking about who.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. Probably. I don't know.
It's just a thing. So, good emotions. Like I said, probably just a hug. Hey, how you doing? Smile.
Okay. Okay. So like
Handshake.
maybe the emotions that make you feel pretty good, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Bad emotions. I would go into just being angry, slamming things down, punching things.
Okay.
You know, maybe there was an incident that happened that you didn't like, or there could have been another incident where you were surprised, happy.
Okay.
There's a lot of controllable and uncontrollable
Emotions.
emotions.
Okay.
Why? Well, that's a good question.
That's a good question. Why?
That's a good
Yeah,
question.
why?
That's a good question. So why? I guess why do we have emotions? I guess to.
Why do you think there's good and bad emotions? Why do you think humans have?
Oh, okay, all right. I got you. So why they are good? There are good and bad emotions. So I believe just having good and bad emotions kind of rounds out your personality. Who kind of brings out who you are.
Okay.
Also, it helps gives a feel other person and the people around you on the person you are or how you feel about a situation or
Okay.
just in everyday life situations. I mean,
So like, are you referring to like the vibes that maybe you'd pick up from someone else as positive or negative
as
vibes?
they say nowadays, vibes.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
But
getting
that's
bad
what
vibes
you're.
from you.
Okay. Okay.
Stuff like that.
And that is I guess your perception of them being a negative or positive emotional person.
Yes, I mean, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it for now until we till we get going.
Yeah, we about to get cooking for sure. We about to get cooking. All right. I respectfully disagree. I do not believe that we have good or bad emotions. I think emotions are messengers.
Okay.
They're there to tell us something's going on. Whether that's good or bad, I mean that's up to your own interpretation. I don't believe that's a bad thing. Kind of like you're driving a car and the check engine light comes on. Something's wrong with your car, but it lets you know. So essentially, if anything, that's a good thing, right? It's telling you, hey, there's something going on here. we need to get on this. Or maybe you're low on fluids or whatnot. You understand what I'm saying? All the emotions that we have are basically just telling us that there's something going on. That's what I was reading the other day in an article by, I believe her name is Jill Suddy. Hopefully I'm not butchering her name. But she wrote an article and basically talking about the emotions of humans, and there's a couple different ways that scientists look at this. Apparently, she has her PhD in psychology, so she did some sort of a study, and yeah, they agreed that the emotions primarily are just telling us, hey, there's something going on. Now they had something called the I believe it's called the reappraisal. I believe that's how you pronounce that. And that's like basically taking the negative emotions that you described to earlier and rethinking about it, basically. So it's basically taking a negative and reinterpreting it in a different way to make it a positive.
Okay, so
And that is what they effectively
all right,
call
so
reappraisal.
all right, so in that sense, I can see that. I can see that because it actually does make it does make sense.
I was
now.
thinking about that a while too.
It does make sense. So
maybe we don't
because
have good or bad
without
emotions.
actually like a person like Jill
Well,
to obviously bring that out to our attention.
Right.
Now,
basically, I think
I understand that. I understand
think
that now.
the good and the bad side of that,
And that makes sense.
is when you act upon that emotion. How you act upon that emotion, excuse me. So if you feel upset and angry, that's perfectly okay. That's just your body's letting you know, hey, something's going on, something made you upset, no problem. But I think the bad part about that is if you act upon that in a negative way, like you go hit someone or you throw something or something like that, act out, right? I think that's where the negative part, the bad, comes into play. And I think the positive aspect of that, the hug or whatever, is just the endorphins going off in your brain telling you that this feels pretty good, and you interpret that as the good. I don't necessarily think that it's good or bad once again. So that I found that pretty interesting. But I think the only Homo sapiens that can't interpret their emotions real well. I was reading up on this. It's called the Alexithymia, I believe that's what it's called. And basically, they have emotions. They can't regulate them. You understand? So they can't, like a computer can't compute. They don't understand exactly what's happening and what's going on there. They say they're fine, but actually they're not fine. They're just not understanding it. And more often than not, they're pretty unempathetic, ironically enough. But with that being said, I mean, I think mental health in itself. I think that's a very good thing to be aware of. I think therapy is a very, very good thing because a lot of people have not necessarily mentally healed, or they're just not mentally aware of what's actually going on during various situations. So I think therapy, guys, is the route to go for a lot of people in various situations. So that's something to definitely consider. But back to the topic. Now that we've kind of threw our thoughts out there, let's have a discussion about it. What are some of the emotions that maybe you typically see from a day-to-day basis?
Well, it's about the same as, I mean, I guess it would depend on the day, and the person.
Okay.
So, let's say somebody's having a bad day. They got a terrible phone call or something, and they're crying.
Okay.
Well, that is considered an emotion, the crying part.
Okay. But is crying a bad thing, or is that?
I mean, I don't think the crying is what makes it a bad thing. I think it's the news that they got
Okay.
would
So
would
so
make
them
it
essentially being
uh,
sad and causing them to cry, right?
right.
Okay.
Would that would be considered like probably more on the sad part of bad. I can't say that crying is a bad emotion because
Some people say that's good.
it can be a bad emotion, but the crying part is not. It's an emotion, but it's not bad. The bad part is the news that they got,
I think
right?
I
So
don't necessarily know
if
if
you get
crying
bad
is an
news,
emotion though. Like I think sad leads to crying, or
it's an
overly
action.
overjoyed leads to crying.
Yeah.
But I don't think the act of crying per se is an emotion.
Yeah,
That's just I could
yeah,
be wrong
I
about
mean,
that, but I don't think that the actual
I think
act
it,
of crying is an emotion. I think the emotions lead to crying, whether that
yes.
be
Well,
happy,
yeah, yeah,
sad, or whatever. Laughter, like if
right.
you laugh too hard, you start tearing up, right? That I think the emotions there can lead to the act of crying, but I don't think crying in itself is an emotion. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
I mean,
Let's talk about
I would say that it is at least a part of it
that. Okay.
because without it, you can. I mean, I guess if you're, it is part of an emotion.
Okay.
It may not be the whole thing,
Mm.
but it is part of it. It
Okay.
is, I mean, emotion. I think it would just be the whole situation.
As far as like, can you give me a scenario or something?
Well, okay, so let's go back to the woman I used earlier,
Okay.
crying in the car.
All right.
So the bad news
Mhm.
created a sad emotion.
Okay.
So
Bad news.
she's crying,
All right.
she's stuttering, uh, lips quivering.
Okay.
I would consider all of that the whole emotion. And not just sad or not just crying. I would say all of that she was doing
Okay.
as an emotion.
And see, my stance on that is I would view her actions based off of the emotion of being maybe sad, mixed in with confusion, mixed in with traumatized. I would correlate those together and say she's acting this way because she's feeling this way. But but
Right, which is nothing wrong with that. But it's
that's just how
actions are still part of the emotion.
right.
It's still part of it.
And you're right. But can we control our emotions? There's a question.
Yes.
There's a food for thought. Yes.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
And then
Okay.
sometimes you can't.
Okay, so to a degree, you're saying we can control our emotions, but not all the time. We can not. Like, let's throw a percentage.
Okay.
Can you control your emotions 100% of the time, no matter what they may be, in your opinion?
No, not 100% of the time.
Not 100% of the time. Why do you think that?
Well, because there has been times where you just couldn't control it. I mean, I guess, yeah. There's at least for me,
Okay.
there's been times where you just couldn't control it, or it just happened, and you don't know why,
Okay.
or at least at the time you can't figure out why. But I mean, I think that would. Yeah, I don't think you can do.
So not 100% of the time, you do not believe you can control your emotions 100% of the time.
Not unless you're like really, not unless you're like Jill.
Like Jill, I don't know if Jill's. I don't know. I think somewhere in that article they may have had another scientist saying something similar, but I don't think Jill ever stated her own.
Well, I'm not. I was, I was just
Right, but I don't know.
I mean, I think if you can train your mind to do that,
Okay.
you could control it 100% of the time.
Okay.
But there's situations where you've probably never been in, and then you can't control whatever you just did or how you feel about that situation because you've never been in it before. So therefore you can't train your mind on it.
Okay. Is that like a lack of understanding what emotion that you're experiencing though? To lead you to unforeseen behavior?
I mean, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I was just wondering.
Like, yeah,
I'm trying to pick your brain here and try to see your thought process. What's going on there? Okay. All right. Honestly, I don't necessarily know if we can control our emotions 100% either. Because you do have some instances, I believe, where you react almost like a reflex, if you will, where you just spontaneously react to it. I think maybe with practice you could probably control it a little bit more, but I don't know if you can necessarily control it 100%. So in that aspect of things, I think we're in agreement as far as can we control our emotions all the time. And sometimes, honestly, you probably don't want to either, right? I mean, sometimes it's good to be in that moment. This anecdotally, I was told. Well, listen, hey, I was told sometimes you got to be in that moment and experience that moment for what it is. Now, that still doesn't make it a good or a bad thing, but you do need to recognize what's going on in that moment with that emotion, and that way you can, I guess, make a conscious decision how to handle that. So there's that. I mean, you take it for whatever you take it for however you will. But yes, I was definitely told because I often thought that you just need to keep going. I thought just if you could just keep pressing forward, the emotion that you were experiencing from that period of time, whatever that looked like, it would eventually fade away. And actually, that's not really the case. More often than not, what's going on there is you just simply ignored that and you set it to the side. You didn't really solve that issue, so that issue still is there. Whether you buried that pretty deep over the years or not, it's still actually there. And when you start peeling back the layers, you tend to find that out. And then you have to face that at some point, or not. Some people die without facing a lot of things. But that's what I thought. That's honestly what I thought. I thought, if I just keep going and not worry about this, then eventually it won't be anything. But that wasn't the case. So yeah, I had to learn that one. But emotions in themselves, I think they're good tools to let us know what's going on there, and I think we could start listening a lot more to our emotions because let's just be honest, we as men don't really pay attention to our emotions that much. We can display a few, and that is probably the gist of it. I'm betting that we know the prime colors of those emotions. What was that movie? That Pixar movie with the emojis or something like that, where they had the anger and the sadness and the emoji movie, right?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
That's a good description of those limited emotions there. I think most guys, or at least the gentlemen that I know,
out of that movie.
We don't display as many.
So out of that movie,
movie,
which of the emoji is the bad emotion?
Is the bad emotion? Well, again, Walker, I don't I don't believe in bad emotions, but I think which emoji handled things in a bad way was probably the firehead dude or the angry or whatever the anger
chick,
one, right?
Yeah, the smiley face. She was the smiley face. She was in control of the bots that chased the.
Wait a minute, I think we're talking about two separate movies here.
No. What?
Yes.
What emoji movie did you watch?
I don't know, not the emoji movie.
I was talking about the emoji movie. What are you talking
It's the no. It's the one where they got the sad person. They got the sad girl.
Well, that's a lot of movies.
I know. But listen, it's a sad person. She's blue, and then she's like with the happy girl who always wants to keep the person happy. And then you got the hot head, and then you got the fearful one. What's that one called? That's not the emoji
In your
movie.
mind,
That's the,
I guess.
No, it's not.
I don't know the name.
What is the name of that movie?
Know what movie you're
Look it
talking
up
about.
because this is gonna kill me.
It's What? How do I look? I don't even know what you're talking about. So I have no idea.
Emotions, just Pixar
Alright,
emotions. I
alright.
think that'll bring it up.
Pixar
Emotions.
emotions.
Movie. Yeah, emotions movie. I think that will be it. Because I promise you, we're now. I remember the emoji movie. The emoji movie is kind of it was alright. Inside Out.
I've
Boom.
never seen that movie.
That's what it's called. That is yes.
I've never seen that
I've
movie.
definitely seen that movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it has emotions on there.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can't really have that conversation, I guess. But yes, the Inside Out movie has emotions on there.
Okay. I was talking about the actual emoji movie, like the phone.
Right. I remember, and
Okay.
that's what got to me to thinking. I'm like, wait a minute. I think we're talking about two different movies here because I've seen them both.
I haven't seen.
That's what happens when you have multiple kids. You get to watch those stuff all the time, I guess.
I guess I gotta see.
But anyway, yeah. So the premise of that movie, it was pretty interesting. It had mixed emotions in there, and they ended up sad turned happy. Happy wanted the emotion to stay happy all the time, but it didn't end up that way. But it turned into a good thing, right? So to overgeneralize it, just because there's a lot going on there, and I don't really want to explain everything. to overgeneralize it, it's okay to have all these different emotions, and sometimes they can work together to form something good. And I can take that into context with this because the emotions that some people perceive to be negative actually can be very beneficial if we allow ourselves to be in that moment, experiencing that emotion and handling it in a positive manner. Like, okay, hey, I'm feeling a little down right now because of this, that, and the third. Let me think about why I'm feeling this way. And then you can be productive in how you handle feeling that way. And then that can get you out of feeling that way into a more lighthearted emotion that maybe people think are good. But anyway, you got anything else to say about the Homo Sapien emotional state?
Well, nope. You can control it maybe 50% of the time.
So you're gonna say half the time you can control
half the time you
about
can control it.
Okay.
Maybe 75% if you actually train your mind.
Full disclosure, people, we have no math to support this whatsoever. This is just our own numbers that we're coming up with.
Own opinions.
Own opinions, as always. But what do you guys think about the Homo sapien emotional state? Emotions, good or bad, is that a thing, or what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for stopping by. This is Jason and Jabari signing off. Until next time.
Deuces up.
Hey guys, we hope you guys enjoyed that conversation that we just had. Please feel free to like and subscribe because the YouTube algorithm really helps us out when you guys do that. And feel free to leave a comment. We also have a Apple and Spotify podcast platform. So if you're on the road and you ever want to listen to us have these same conversations, that's a way that you can do it. And that will also help us out as well.
Also, we will be gaming live stream on multiple channels, YouTube, Twitch, Jason would be on YouTube. I would be on Twitch.
Yeah, I'll be on.
I'll be
YouTube.
the Xbox Series X with the new upcoming games and plenty more. Halo Infinite, Forza, Overwatch. They have crossplay now. So come on over and
Well,
join us on Twitch.
if you guys like Xbox, if you guys want to watch a PS5 player, we have RPG games that we'll start off playing with, such as the Miles Morales game, and also we have Final Fantasy VII Remake, and we have a few other Final Fantasy games on pre-order. And for those of you who like PvP fights, we have Marvel Contest of Champions. I'll be uploading our war videos that we'll be participating in, as well as streaming incursions with other YouTubers on the MCOC. So there's something to look forward to.
All right. So with that being said, we'll be streaming a variety of games. So we hope to see you there.
Take care.
Deuces.